Well, good morning. It is so great to be here. I flew in from San Francisco, and wow, what a conference, huh? Completely sold out. I'm just thrilled. And I thought, since this is a mobile conference, and there's a great prize for tweeting, I heard. So could we do a selfie? Would that be okay? And you guys also take a picture and retweet so that we can win prizes. Maybe all of us will win a prize. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, awesome. Did you guys all take a picture too? Okay. Well, here we go. First of all, I'm thrilled to be here in India. And in fact, I was talking about it so much. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she was so excited. She went and researched India and drew this picture for you guys, which is an elephant with its trunk up, which I understand means good luck and well wishes. So throughout this presentation, hopefully we'll have some fun, and hopefully I'll also share some of the great ways to make your mobile apps even more powerful. Now, I was listening to some of the speakers this morning, and I'm going to go through some of these factoids quick, but I found this picture that I thought was really funny. Do you remember the olden days when the cell phones were so big, and then they went small, and now they're getting big again, right? I thought that was quite ironic. So if you think about it, that new cell phone, the new mobile device, has now reached about 50% of the global population. And here in India, there's so much opportunity as smartphones really start to take off, and as we talk about the future, like the last speaker spoke of some about Internet of Things, I think this is an exciting time to be a mobile developer. So the growth areas we've talked about, 5.2 million developers here, but what I find amazing is that mobile is now part of the Internet of Things generation. 25 billion sensors, a lot of those will be inside of your mobile device. And this will create data, and a lot of the mobile apps, the real power will be in the data that you create and that you analyze. So one entrepreneur I know in San Francisco created a toothbrush that as you're brushing your teeth as a kid, so this is for a child, there's a little app on your mobile phone that plays a game so that the child brushes their teeth long enough. Now, he was doing, it's really cool. I have kids. It's really cool. So once the app is finished, he was selling all these toothbrushes and selling the mobile device, the mobile app. But guess what made him the most money? After a year, he collected all the data from all the kids and then sold the data to the American Dental Association, to Colgate, to Crest. Seriously, it was amazing. So don't just think about the app. Think about all the other pieces that you have that you can use and leverage to make money and add value. Now, if we think about the future, you want to develop for today, but be ready for tomorrow. And I believe that cognitive will be one of the next big things for your cellular phone. Now, what's cognitive? Well, that enables your mobile app to think, to reason, and to learn. To think, to reason, and to learn. So we had a hackathon here in Bangalore with a lot of college students. Somebody created an app with cognitive computing that you could take a picture of anything for children learning, and the mobile app would see the image, it learned the image, and then it would communicate to the child what the image was. That is the future of mobile apps. And in fact, instead of just for education, I believe part of the future of the mobile phone, it won't be just mobile first, it'll be mobile always, and it will also be the mobile phone as a digital assistant, which means that your phone will become smart. It'll learn your behaviors, and it'll adapt to what you do to become that mandatory mobile assistant or digital assistant to you, leveraging cognitive. So make sure, as you're looking at your new app, may not be ready for it today, but make sure that you're ready to insert cognitive, because the cognitive era has definitely begun. Now, there's so much opportunity, and I've heard so many, the first speaker was awesome, and the second speaker talked about a lot of developer kit, but did you know that today, research shows that 2/3 of mobile development projects fail? And we're going to talk today about some of the things that make it essential for you to be very successful at developing your mobile app. And part of that is each of you guys getting trained, the developer yourself, but I love the factoid at the bottom. So if you develop an app and it's not engaging, if that mobile experience isn't there, 65% of people won't just not buy your mobile product, but if you're an enterprise company, they won't consider any of your products because your mobile product is the face of your company to everybody else. So that your mobile app doesn't fail, we've done a lot of research to find out what makes a sticky mobile app. Or like my entrepreneur in San Francisco that had the toothbrush, what was it that caused that app to be so sticky that he was able to have over 1 million users to be able to collect that data that turned out to be gold for him moving forward? So there's 3 things that I wanted to spend the next couple of minutes talking about. The first one is as you develop your app, you're going to be thinking about your code, but we also want you to be thinking about the experience and how you engage your client. The second area is I want you to think about innovation. How are you going to keep that fresh with things like cognitive or turning the device into a digital assistant? And then finally, there is power in the ecosystem, and I want to make sure that you're not just looking at your app, but how it can connect to other things in the ecosystem to drive more power. Okay, everybody with me? Yeah? Okay, you guys are still tweeting, right? Because there's still those prizes out there. Okay, so let's go. Let's talk about the customer experience. Now, if you think about the next frontier, and throughout the last decade, there's been many things that have caused applications to be successful or competitive. But I believe that the customer experience is really the last source of that sustainable differentiation and the new competitive battleground, which means that your mobile app must address that experience, the way that you engage your customer, how you make sure that you're doing the right things for the customer at the right time. So when you develop your mobile app, think about where you begin. Think about what you want to do and how you want to empower the user to take some action. How you want to ensure that you're going to be able to provide that information to them at the right moment. And how you can leverage that data that we talked about, that pure gold, to learn about behavior, to pick up time, location, preference. You get the message. To make sure that you're developing that tightly engaged application for the customer, remembering that customer experience is everything. Now, I love this example. This is an example from Canada, and this is a bank, and it's called Tangerine Bank. And one of the things that they wanted to do is they wanted to go 100% online. So they're not mobile first, they're mobile only. And they wanted to make sure that their app, as they put it out there, that they constantly received feedback from their clients about the app and what they were doing well. So if you look at the application, maybe a little hard to see, but on the app at any time you can provide feedback. They constantly do that A/B testing. So do you like this color, this position, this piece of information? Do you like us collecting this piece of data? This was rated now for the last 2 years in a row as the #1 mobile banking app in the world. And part of it is not just because of the engagement, but because of the way they're engaging the client to provide feedback in every step of the equation, and they do stuff with the feedback and make sure that that feedback is incorporated and fed back to the client. So as you're developing your mobile application, how do you gather input from your clients? Do you do that on a constant basis, or are you making assumptions? Are you doing the right level of A/B testing so you know what really matters? Now, one of the things that we've done is we have a site. It's called developer.ibm.com. And so we actually researched some of these best-of-breed mobile apps, like the Tangerine Bank app. And so working with lots of different startups, as well as enterprise clients, we took those best practices where the developers would provide us that best practice, and we made some of these best practices open. So like open source with an open governance model. And so by industry, you can see healthcare, retail, insurance, banking. We have taken some of the best practices, and we've provided them to you in an open source way that you can go and grab those as an experience. These are all free, So you can just go, look at them, grab them, say, wow, okay, I can do that, or what about that, or I can one-up this. So I would encourage you to go out there and check it out to see some of these best practices. So that first step to making your project very successful is on how you engage the audience. The second major step is in how you innovate. And I thought this was really interesting. 85% of companies today have a backlog of at least 20 applications that they need right now, 20 mobile apps that they need right now that they can't get to. And in fact, I was meeting last week with a very large client here in Asia Pacific, and the client told me that he has 108 mobile apps that he needs to get done in the next bit of time. So this is a real issue. So any way that you can produce those applications faster, quicker, while still being engaging is a big competitive advantage. From our research, 2/3 of the successful mobile apps that are out there today use some sort of cloud API. So they're doing this in the cloud. In fact, a lot of people will say, is mobile driving the cloud success, or is cloud driving mobile? And I think the answer is yes and yes. The cloud can really help you be more successful. So I wanted to show you an example. I work for IBM, so I'm going to show you the mobile example from IBM. There are lots of APIs out there. There's open APIs, but I just wanted to show you this case in point from our platform called IBM Bluemix so that you could see what I'm talking about with using these APIs. So for instance, one of the big challenges for successful mobile apps is some sort of backend integration. There's a set of already predetermined APIs out there on Bluemix. In addition, security. Every place I've gone this week in India, I always get the question about security. How can you make sure that what we've got is secure, the data is secure? So here you see several APIs around app scan and around quality assurance, around that security area. And then also contextual services, again, built on some of those best practices. How do you deliver the information in context? And then, of course, third party, so Dropbox, Twilio, different types of services that you can mash together. Having these APIs makes it much easier to develop the application. One of our entrepreneurs here in India, in fact, I just got to meet the CEO yesterday. He was actually, I guess at one time, the youngest CEO in India, became a CEO at 14 years old, which is pretty incredible. So he's delivered a really interesting mobile app for the transportation area. He did it all based on cloud-based APIs. And in fact, yesterday he was telling me, based on his customer feedback that he got, much like Tangerine Bank did, they've now added a new feature to the mobile app to where if you're on a bus and you're getting harassed, especially if you're a woman, that you can actually press an emergency button. Your phone doesn't buzz or anything, but it has the police that can come and help and assist on an instant basis. So they're constantly making improvements, and it's much easier with those APIs. So this innovation is really important. Now, APIs come in all different forms. We love Node.js. We actually just purchased a company called StrongLoop, and what I love about the framework there is it helps you not only to use APIs, but it provides a framework to help you manage the APIs, really to leverage DevOps throughout your use of different APIs, whether those are open standards or whether those are from a particular company or area. And then the other set of APIs that I think are really powerful is back to those cognitive APIs that think, that learn, that reason. So we actually started our Watson APIs with Jeopardy. How many of you guys have heard or seen of Watson? Okay, with the cognitive capability. We first started out with 4 APIs for cognitive, like personality matching. We just announced another 28 APIs, so we now have 28 APIs for Watson. And by the end of 2016, there'll be 50 APIs. Every API is mobile first, and you can use that and embed it, mash it into your app to provide that cognitive competitive advantage into whatever you're developing as well. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the ecosystem. So I know that providing support and help and sharing best practices is really important. We as IBM believe a lot in open, and that means not just sharing code, but sharing best practices. This week, we announced a partnership with NASCOM 10K, the startup area, and we just created together a digital ecosystem. It's called techstartup.in, specifically geared for here in Bangalore, and we'll roll this out for other cities in India. I encourage you to check it out because it links you into funders, links you into places, open spaces that you could go work, talks about all the events and the meetups that are happening so you can learn from others. It's a great way to get engaged in that mobile ecosystem that I believe is going to be such a powerful force, not only here in India, but throughout the world. And there are many startups here. I've been talking about a few of them, like I talked about Global S. But there are many startups here in India that are already making that transition, balancing between the smartphone era, where it's going with IoT. And so we ask you, to join them as you move forward. Now, a couple of opportunities coming up. How many of you guys know about Mobile World Congress in Barcelona? Okay, it is the largest mobile developer event conference in the world, although I bet the organizers here might try to outpace that soon. So we are, in conjunction with Mobile World Congress, we're kicking off a Mobile Innovators Tournament. And we're doing this all over the world, here in Bangalore included. We have a whole set of demo days, and we're going to select the top 15 finalists that will be asked to join the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. And again, there's lots of prizes, not only technology prizes, but also funding prizes as well for those who win that Global Mobile Innovators Tournament. It's a great way to also meet other mobile developers around the world, find out some great ideas, what's happening in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, Europe, Latin America that you might want to bring here as a best practice and continue to share that around the world. Now, another great example of this ecosystem I'll give you is Citibank. Now, one of the things that Citibank has done is they also issued a mobile challenge contest. And they did this because they said, you know what, we've got that huge backlog and not having enough mobile apps. So we're going to engage the community, we're going to engage the ecosystem to help us in this quest. They've just completed this in the United States and in Europe, and in November they're coming to Asia. So they'll hit Singapore and India and China, and they'll be opening it up for entrepreneurs, developers like you to help develop apps that Citibank will then jointly market or co-market with you as you move forward. And we've partnered with Citi in this endeavor. So I think it's a great opportunity to get some visibility to what you guys are doing here on a global scale. And then the last thing on the ecosystem that I'll talk to you about is another announcement we made here yesterday. For all developers, but in particular, we've got a huge mobile section, is something called DeveloperWorks Premium. And this engages you, provides you with some free GitHub repositories, provides you with lots of great skills and courses that you can take to learn about Internet of Things or cognitive as you're going forward, as well as the ability to connect together as you're moving along. So I think there is so much opportunity here. I've now traveled around the world and worked in 78 different countries. And I have to say, the energy here is so much like where I'm from, San Francisco, Silicon Valley. You guys have such an opportunity to change the world with your mobile apps, with your entrepreneurship, and with your innovation. And to do that not just here in India, being hyper-local, but doing that on a tremendously global scale. And we want to be part of that with you. We want to help you develop the best mobile apps that are possible. So we encourage you to get engaged. I'd love for you to be on the IBM platform, but if we can help you and you're on another platform, we'd love to do that as well. We'd love for you to try out some of those free different types of client engagement apps. We'd love for you to register for that Global Innovator Challenge. Have some of you guys show up and let's meet again in Barcelona, and to really change the world for mobile. I really appreciate your time, and I saved 1 minute for any questions that you guys might have. I know it's a big audience, but any one or two questions that we might be able to answer? I think you guys are in need of a break, so I appreciate your time this morning. And don't forget to tweet away. My Twitter ID is Sandy_Carter, and I'd love to hear from, actually, I'd love to hear from all of you guys. So thank you very much.